Hello nerds, welcome back to the news. This week's episode, a little delayed, but you knew that already because you stay to the end of every video and hear the updates that are going to be happening. So my apologies to anybody who didn't know that. But anyway, let's continue. Let's do the tease, the intro for the video, if we will. Music this week is full of touring announcements. Some really great tours have been announced. We also have gaming, as going to be obviously dominated by the Nintendo Switch 2, as we just got the Nintendo Direct. And yeah, I know I was wrong. We'll get to that. Comic books is a little small, but it is going to be an example of Marvel and DC playing out of the same playbook. They're both trying to shock you into buying comic books because, oh my god, what did they just write? Yeah, we'll talk about both of the issues there. TV is going to be a little bit of a backseat to the rest of the episode, although there is controversy there. Some Doctor Who shenanigans going on. We're going to talk about that. Movies is twofold. We have that giant Avengers casting announcement that was kind of bland if you really think about it, but also CinemaCon is going on, so we've got a lot of stuff going on coming out of that, and then major, I repeat, major Star Wars rumors to discuss in the rumor mill. That and plenty more in this week's episode. It's going to be a little long, trying some new things as far as like how we script it and so on and so forth. So grab your w.gg, code generally nerdy at checkout if you haven't already, and let's do the news, shall we? So music news this week, we have quite a bit. We're going to be diving into the massive collaboration list that is the next baby metal record, apparently. We also have a surprising lineup shakeup for Godsmack, which might change the trajectory of that band. And then Marilyn Manson is still on his comeback, it would seem. All right, so we're going to start off where everything matters, and that is new music. New music announced this week. First up, we have Baby Metal. Oh, that's right. We're coming right out the door, right out the gate with this one. Baby Metal has officially announced their brand new album. It is titled Metal Fourth. There are going to be huge collabs on this. It will be coming out June 13th. The big news is literally the insane list of collaborations that we're going to be seeing. Poppy, Spiritbox, Tom Morello, which we already kind of have seen that one. Bloody Wood, again, one that we've been known about. Polyphia and Slaughter to Prevail. All are going to be guesting on this record. Plus the Ratat song that we already got with Electric Callboy, that's on the playlist. Just an insane record. So if you are a Baby Metal fan, this is probably going to legitimize you in the eyes of your friends who aren't. And if you aren't a Baby Metal fan, this record seems like it might be changing some minds. So I don't know. That's what we got on that one. Let's move. Next up, we have the Yagas. We've talked about them previously. We actually did one of the micro reaction situations that we used to do in this show. Now we do in the other show. So the Yagas is, if you don't remember, actress Vera Farmiga's band. They're alt-rock, kind of weird, ethereal alt-rock, but alt-rock, not really metal. Vera Farmiga, you'll know her from the Conjuring franchise, as well as from the Bates Motel series. Those are kind of the biggest nerdy things that she's done. I mean, she's done a fair bit of nerdy stuff, but those are huge. She's doing this all-rock band, the Yagas. The debut album, the full-length debut, is called Midnight Minuet, set for release April 15th, so next week. They also released a new song, a new track we're going to be talking about in the next episode of That Just Happened, because I listened to it. Still don't know what to make of this band, but that's what we've got for that, so let's move right along. Next up is A Killer's Confession. This band, if you don't remember, is Waylon Revis, or yeah, Revis, like Beavis. I've been told this, or not, whatever. Waylon, who used to sing for Mushroom Head, it's his current band. They just released a single called In Case of Emergency. It features guest vocals from none other than freaking J-Man, also formerly of Mushroomhead. They did a record together at one point in time as Mushroomhead, featuring also Jeffrey Nothing, but that's a whole different story for a different day. It is, these two guys, always a fantastic combo. I think that these two without Jeffrey's going to be weird, but again, the new single is out. You can go listen to it. We will be talking about the single specifically over in the That Just Happened for this week. Link, as always, is down below, so you can go check it out for yourself before you do that. That is what we have for new music and videos. So now let's talk about who's hitting the road and going out into tours and festivals. We first up have horror metal masters, if you will, horror metal
creators, Ice Nine Kills.
They're taking their tour a work of art. It is going across Europe. They are bringing support from Creeper and The Devil Wears Prada. Tour starts November 19th in Milan, wraps up December 12th in London. Link you can find in the description. It's going to be kind of a huge tour, so go check it out. Our next one is Pierce the Veil. Attention Pierce the Veil fans, because apparently you guys are freaking rabid. The band has just announced 12 more dates for their current tour, spanning the entire month of October. You missed out before, this is your next chance to get them. Tickets for these shows go on sale Thursday, April 4th. So today, as I'm filming this. So they're up currently. Next up, we have Architects, UK metalcore titans Architects. They'll be embarking on a new North American tour. They're taking Era and Holy Water along for the ride. 21 dates, starts July 17th in Wisconsin, runs through August 27th in New York City. Tickets are available currently. Again, links for, I think all of these should be down in the description. And then Lamb of God, like I said, touring is kind of huge this week. Lamb of God, are you ready for much more Lamb of God? They have announced 6 additional shows, headlining dates all throughout 2025. Interesting here is that it's not the same set of bands for each show. So each show is a different lineup. All 6 shows have some difference in the lineup. The supporting bands are to include Hatebreed, Shadows Fall, Body Count, Harm's Way, Frozen Soul, Power Trip, and Cavalera, which I thought for a while was Cavalera Conspiracy, but I don't know, maybe they dropped the Conspiracy. They're doing old stuff, so it would make sense. They're not doing the Conspiracy records. So yeah, Cavalera. Depending on which specific date you go to is going to determine which show it is. So go to the link, figure out which one's yours, and you'll see who is going to be support. Pre-sale tickets are on sale now. By the time this video goes up, the actual regular tickets will be on sale as well. So there's that. Next up on the touring list is Marilyn Manson. Definitely not slowing down, still working on that comeback. He's just announced a second leg for his One Assassination Under God Chapter 1 tour. That is quite the mouthful for a tour name. The big gigantic extension starts August 7th in Sturgis, South Dakota. It covers more US ground and then heads to Europe, finishing in November on the 30th in Lisbon, Portugal. So once again, links can be found in the description. Speaking of A Killer's Confession, like we did in the new music section, in honor of this new single, they are going out on tour. They are currently, the name of the tour is A Horrifying Trip Back to the 2000s. They are headlining. It is going to be featuring Ventana and Aeternum on the opening bill. Notably here, they are taking J-Man out with them. And because they're doing that, and Ventana is also on the bill, Ventana, for those that don't know, features other former Mushroomhead members. I'm pretty sure they're both former, I don't know, Stitch kind of goes back and forth, but Stitch and Little Dan. So we have 4, count them, 4 different former members of Mushroomhead going on tour together, which means even though there's 3 bands, we're getting 4 sets of music because they're going to be inserting a small Mushroomhead throwback set in the middle of all of the chaos. So this one starts, oh, where is the beginning date? It starts now-ish, and it'll be running through the end of April. So April 28th is the final date on that. So that's what we have for tours and festivals. Let's move over to other significant happenings in the music world. The first piece is Gorillaz. We have confirmation that 2025, at least not just Gorillaz, I guess, but Damon Albarn, who is the mastermind behind the Gorillaz. He's also the frontman for the band Blur. So, you know, if you wonder why it is that Noodles kind of sounds like the guy who sings the woohoo song, it's because they're the same dude. So yeah, they are, where did it go? I just lost my place. Oh, Damon Albarn has confirmed that he is actively working on new Gorillaz music. He's going to be finishing a Gorillaz record this year. He's also going to be writing an opera, apparently. So those are his two giant projects for the year. Super excited to see new Gorillaz because, like, it's been a little while and I kind of love the Gorillaz, so everything except for Plastic Beach. For whatever reason, Plastic Beach just really does absolutely nothing for me. Anyway, let's continue on. Our next piece has to do with Godsmack. There was a breaking news piece since we last spoke, and that breaking news piece very quickly turned into two members of the band are leaving. So their drummer and their guitar player. So my previous talk about winding down after their last tour, this current one that they're on, Godsmack is not breaking up. However, there is a major lineup change. Longtime drummer Shannon Larkin and guitarist Tony Rambola, the guitar player. Both have departed the band. According to their official statements, it does seem like they're doing so amicably. The remaining members view this as an opportunity for new and exciting possibilities, quote unquote. Huge news. It seems to imply that they are going to be continuing on with their music careers now that they've lost some of the old weight. I don't want to say dead weight because that's a little insensitive, but like, I don't know, it seems like the Sully, and I can't remember their bass player's name right now, it seems like those two guys still want to make music. So if they're not being dragged down, as crass as that might be to say, they're not being dragged down by the other two members who legitimately in their statement said, you know, basically we're 60 years old and we just want to hang out with our families and be grandpas and stuff. So I'm very much paraphrasing. Either way, kind of huge if you're a Godsmack fan, even a passive Godsmack fan. Like, I haven't really listened to them much since the second record, and that's still intriguing, to say the least. Next up, we have Bad Wolves. There's another lineup change to report here. Guitarist Doc Coyle, whom you will also know from, I'm gonna brain fart, the other metalcore band from the 2000s that played a lot with Killswitch Engage. I can't think right now, I apologize. And it's not in the script. I'm doing script this time. I'm trying something new. Anyway, and Doc Coyle and bassist Kyle Conkeal maybe, have both announced that they are going to be leaving the band. Again, this is an amicable split. Both members just have decided their musical journey no longer involves the other dudes in Bad Wolves. No official statement has been made from the band. Doc, they both released their own independent statements, both basically kind of saying the same thing. My musical journey is taking me elsewhere. So if anything else happens there, we'll be keeping tabs. Otherwise, let's move on. That's kind of the end of the regular ass news. So let's talk about some suggestions. That was a lot. There was a whole lot going on. So recommendation, suggestion for the week. We have, speaking of old school Mushroomhead, XX, Mushroomhead's kind of best of record before they were even signed. So if you are somehow unfamiliar, then this is your reminder that Pure Sonic Chaos, if you are somehow unfamiliar, or you just need a reminder of the pure sonic chaos that is Mushroomhead's XX, this is your suggestion. While technically a compilation featuring re-recorded versions from earlier material, it perfectly encapsulates their unique blend of metal, crushing metal riffs, dark industrial grooves, and those haunting melodic clean vocals that we all know and love from Jeffrey, because wow, the dude can sing. Aggressive, hypnotic, atmospheric, all at once. And it is amazing. The dual vocals, the masks, the energy, the definitive Mushroomhead in many people's eyes. That is your suggestion for the week. And that wraps up the music section. Subscribe. That is all. For gaming and tech news this week, we are finally, it's a kind of a big week for gaming and tech, not gonna lie, finally get to unpack exactly what it is we're getting with the Nintendo Switch 2. We also have a Mortal Kombat update that might make things a little bit easier for those of you on the big hunt. We'll get there. We also have how you can use the ChatGPT image generator for free and kind of the parameters involved with that, and it's super easy, but yeah, we'll get there. Let's do this. Okay, so kicking things off, we have a couple of things to correct from last time. Most notably, I was wrong. There were, in fact, 2 Nintendo Directs like 5 days apart, and both of them have happened since we last spoke. So we've got a lot to talk about. Sorry, my script. Give me a moment, will you? So definitely wrong. I confidently said we would not see, yeah, very confident that we would not see, and they just did it. So next on the follow-ups and corrections, we have follow-up on the Mortal Kombat 1 situation. There was a kind of a ghost drop that we got over the course of the last 5 days, roughly. I think it's actually like 2 days ago. This ghost drop is basically just a minor balance patch, but there's a little bit more. So if you've been banging your head against the Floyd situation, then there is a little bit of a breath of fresh air in the towers. I mean, technically it's a little bit easier to get to him now, but only technically, and he's still just as difficult to fight as he would be otherwise. There is now a phantom tower that will randomly pop up in your towers of time. That phantom tower is a Floyd tower. You're only fighting ninjas. I think all of the cameos are also ninjas, which is kind of hilarious and awesome. And then you get up to Floyd and you can fight Floyd. This is the only way on anything other than PC, because PC you can mod it and make this work anyway, but this is the only way that you can get the new field stage in the night setting. So if you want that, then you have to do it this way. There is no information yet as to exactly if there's any sort of pattern to how the tower appears in your towers of time. But it does appear, and when it does appear, it only is there for approximately an hour. You have 3 attempts to get all the way through the tower. If you do not beat the tower inside of those 3 attempts, then it kicks you entirely out of the towers of time, and you have to wait again till your Floyd tower randomly generates. That is not all. There's a lot more here. Specifically, there is a secret fight inside of the tower, the Floyd tower specifically. That secret fight, you then fight Cyber Smoke. There are very specific qualifiers that will get you to fight Cyber Smoke. You have to have 1 perfect block. You have to have 1. I don't know. It's not clear. Because what it says is you have to have 1 flawless victory. It says it in such a way that it implies maybe you just have to have a flawless round, or maybe you have to flawless one of those levels on the tower. I'm not entirely sure. And then the third, I don't think I put all 3 of them in here. Honestly, I think I forgot to even put them in the script properly at all, because I was just winging it there. So give me a moment while I try. I did not. So yeah, there's one more piece I will have to do a follow-up on. I apologize, but those 2 are kind of hard enough in and of themselves, right? You have to at least flawless 1 round, if not an entire match against someone. The other thing that is unclear about the Floyd situation is if you beat him in the tower, do you also get all of the other, like the skins for Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and then all of the combat card art, the background and foreground stuff that you get when you find him, when you do the tasks to get to him? That part has not been clarified, I think because everyone who has made it through the tower at this point has also done the regular stuff to get to Floyd normally, so they already have all of the art and the things and the stuff. So yeah, if we can get to the bottom of some of these, if I can figure it out between now and next week, then we're definitely gonna be talking about it. So continuing on, what do we got? Oh, ChatGPT, is that right? Is that follow-ups? That is totally the next follow-up. All right, fine, let's do this. So quick update, OpenAI has started rolling out the image generation capabilities to everyone, free users, everyone. There is some caveats to that though. Yes, you can now create images, but for now, free users are only limited to approximately 3 images a day. So use them wisely. If you're looking to meme, you can only meme 3 times in the day. It's like 8 months to pay for a month though for the basic plan. So I mean, that's not terrible if you're using it a bunch, and apparently a lot of people are using it a bunch, so much so that they like had to delay the rollout for free users because the paid users were generating so many images that it took them an extra week to get the capacity to roll it out to free users. And that's also probably why you're only allowed 3 generations per day. So that is, you can do it, it's just highly limited. That is what we have for follow-ups and corrections. Now let's talk about trailers and stuff. The main event is trailers. Nintendo Direct is technically a trailer. That is where we're going to be talking about the 2 Nintendo Directs that we got this week. The big one is the Nintendo Switch 2. So first up, let's talk about the hardware. The screen is 7.9 inches and will do 1080p 120 with HDR. So a massive step up from the previous screen, not just in size, but in resolution especially. A docked performance, when docked, it targets 4K resolution. You can also do 120 frames per second, also HDR supported. Storage comes with 256 internal, which is 8 times more than what you got on the original Nintendo Switch. A significant upgrade, supports new micro SD Express, very explicitly supports only micro SD Express. So the memory card that you have for your current Switch console will not work in your Switch 2. Yeah, the Joy-Cons. The new Joy-Cons attach magnetically, so hopefully that sticks up magnetically, featuring release button because it creates a very strong magnetic connection that you have to actively release. And they're bigger with larger buttons and a larger stick, and even function as a mouse this time. Both Joy-Cons function as a mouse, which when we get to the game stuff, I forget the name of the game, but it's Murder Ball, basically, is what they turned Murder Ball into a 3-on-3, and I'm super stoked. That looks like so much fun. Assuming like it is sensitive enough to actually feel like a very responsive, that's the word I'm looking for, so that it feels responsive enough that you can play it and it's not just a super gimmick that nobody really cares about. Continuing on, audio chat, there is a built-in microphone with noise cancellation and game chat, plus improved speakers supporting 3D audio, which is pretty insane, honestly. There's a lot of people that are questioning the viability of the noise cancellation in a microphone that is ostensibly, you know, 10 to 15, maybe even more feet away from you. But if you look at what, I'm gonna forget the name of that company. They make streaming stuff. I can't think of them. Over at Senpai Gaming, they do a lot of gear reviews for these guys, and I'm really blanking on the company's name. I apologize. But the point is, the technology exists and is out there currently so that you can literally have a stationary microphone and walk around a room, and the AI behind that behind the software that is operating that stationary microphone can make it sound like you're right up on top of the microphone at all times, even though you're 15, 20 feet away. I mean, there is some AI kind of craziness that happens to the audio when you are that far away, but it's still, the technology very much exists. And like, we knew, judging by the leaks and everything, that they were going to be putting a fair amount of AI under the hood for the Nintendo Switch 2, and that is one of the AI elements that I think they're really banking on being impressive enough that people utilize it enough that it moves a lot of consoles. So there's that. Continuing on, backward compatibility. This is huge. Backward compatibility. Nintendo is prioritizing it. Most original physical Switch, well, all original physical Switch games will work in your console. Exceptions include things like the Labo VR kit, obviously, and anything that used the old IR sensor. Apparently, though, according to these notes, you can use legacy Joy-Cons on your Switch 2 that will still use the IR sensor, but I don't know how the compatibility is going to work there, so don't quote me on that. Using hybrid conversion method, not pure emulation, which allows Switch 1 games to get enhancements like better resolution, game chat integration. As of April, all 122 Nintendo developed games tested and work, again, except for the Labo VR stuff, and about 20% of the 15,000 third-party titles tested had no issues. So that's a fair way of saying that they've done an extensive amount of testing, even into third-party games, so pretty much everything should work just fine. There is some caveats in that you do get a minor boost on just about everything, but on certain titles they're going to be Switch 2 enabled. What that means, especially for something like the Metroid Prime situation, if Metroid Prime 4 is launching for the Nintendo Switch 1 and will have a compatibility upgrade that you can purchase, much like a number of other titles. The 2 Legend of Zelda games that came out natively on the Nintendo Switch also have these. And each game that has it, like the amount of viability or the amount of interest I think people are going to have in purchasing the upgrades is going to vary greatly, because the Zelda games, you get kind of an automated map that helps you a little bit maybe, but then some of the other stuff that's switched to optimized, like the Mario Jamboree, the Mario Party Jamboree, there's some stuff on there that legitimately I can see people paying the extra money for. But even if you don't pay the extra money, I think this is something that people are kind of skimming over. Even if you don't pay the extra money for the upgrade, you can still play your Switch 1 games, even if there's a Switch 2 optimization option available and you just don't feel like it's worth the money. That doesn't mean you can't play your Switch 2 optimized game on your Switch 1 game that is optimized for the Switch 2 on your Switch 2. You just don't get the extra perks that are behind the paywall. It's dumb, and everybody hates it right now, especially when you consider the fact that we have some credible sources. I don't even think these are considered leaks at this point. I think they're outlets that are announcing prices so that you can reserve your games. It looks like the average cost of a third-party game on the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be around $70, which hurts a lot. But also the higher priority, like Zelda, Mario Kart, etc., those games are going to be $80 on the console. And then on top of all of that money nonsense, there is a how to use your console. It's like a digital user's manual effectively. That is also going to cost money. Hopefully that one they're not going to gouge you for, and they're just going to say, hey, give us $10 and you can have this thing. Because I feel like anything over like $5-10, nobody's going to purchase this, and they developed a quasi game for nothing. They put a bunch of resources in that they were expecting to recoup some cost for, that they're not going to recoup that cost. So let's get back into the script. I'm sorry I kind of winged it there for a minute. Next up is the games. So at launch, the Switch 2 games that are coming June 5th with the console. I don't know if I've said that yet. June 5th is when the console launches. Also, console pricing, we're looking at about $450 for the base console or $500 for the base console with, I believe it's the Mario Kart World is the game that you get. So anyway, back to games. Launching flagship titles, Mario Kart World. Wow, the trailer for this looks freaking awesome, and then they went into some extra detail. I love it. The camera stuff and the chat bits are kind of whatever, but yeah, we'll continue. Where was I? Oh yeah, featuring vast interconnected world and 24 players online, is going to be available as a standalone or in the bundle with the console. Launch window also coming soon after the launch is Donkey Kong Bonanza, which if you watch the Nintendo Direct all the way without anyone else, whatever, then you really must stay to the end, because the Donkey Kong Bonanza trailer and information just looks so incredible with a relatively underpowered console. Like the fact that there is so much of a destructible environment in this game and this console is what it is. Like I feel like that kind of still, even though again, 2 generations old GPU I believe inside this thing, or CPU, or both, at least 2 generations old, is kind of outperforming in some ways the bigger consoles and and current generation stuff, because you have crazy destructibility. Like, it literally looks like the entire map, every level of this game is going to be almost completely destructible. And that's kind of a gameplay feature. It's not like, oh, this is a little gimmicky thing that we know. It looks like you have to traverse through certain mountains effectively in order to properly beat levels. That's freaking nuts. Anyway, continuing on. Kirby Air Riders also is coming to. This is a GameCube racer that they're doing a sequel to, so that we haven't seen a sequel to this game since the GameCube, which is crazy. It's the enhanced editions specifically that we were talking about a moment ago. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, both will have HDR, higher resolutions, better frame rates. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Pokemon Legends ZA will be switched to upgrades. But the Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is coming. This is a new Hyrule Warriors game that is being developed by Koei. I believe they developed the first one as well. Sure. I mean, I'm really down for anything that expands the Tears of the Kingdom story, just because I really, really dug the Tears of the Kingdom story. So I'll play it just to see how well it does with the story, but I don't know. The last one kind of didn't really do much, so I'm not going to hold my breath. Third-party support looks incredibly strong. We have a version of Elden Ring. It's the Tarnished Edition, including the DLC. Borderlands 4 is confirmed for sometime later this year. We also have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metal Gear Solid Delta. Oh my god, I'm super stoked for that one. Hades 2, that's kind of a given. Assassin's Creed Mirage, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, Dusk Bloods, which is a steampunk vampire thing from FromSoft, which is, we're getting an original FromSoft game on the Switch 2. Okay, that's kind of nuts. And then we also have GameCube classics are coming to be exclusive to the highest tier. I think you have to have a Switch 2, and you also have to be paying for the highest tier Nintendo Online situation. So I don't really know how that breaks down, because I only do the basics so I can play multiplayer stuff. But yeah, that's insane. It's a crazy lineup. And finally, we have some other miscellaneous things that don't really fit into games and hardware. Again, $450 USD for the console by itself, $500 with the Mario Kart bundle. Pre-orders start April 9th, so just a few days from now. Priority access will be given to Nintendo Switch members who meet certain criteria. If you've paid ahead for a year, you also have over 50 gaming hours, then that's how you get your priority. Game chat will be activated. Oh yeah, the C button. I totally forgot. We didn't even talk about in the hardware. Game chat, the C button, the much speculated on C button, we now know is a really subpar version of Discord. So take with that what you will. It's also it's one part Discord, one part PlayStation 2 camera, and it's the same rough quality of the PlayStation 2 camera-ish. So yeah. Welcome to the 21st century, Nintendo. We've been doing these things for 20 years at this point, 24 years at this point. So yeah, there's that. Game chat, new Pro Controller for $80. Basically is the same as the previous Pro Controller, though you do get the the buttons on the underside so you can play with your fingertips, not just your thumbs, as well as a 3/4 jack for your headphones, and the C button on the top is really the biggest issue, the biggest variance for the new Switch 2 Pro Controller. The hands-on experience events will start the 4th, so again, as you're watching this, and run through the 6th. They'll be in major cities, so you'll be able to play the Welcome Tour game, the manual thing that they developed for some godforsaken reason. There is going to be, battery life is a big issue with this. We're looking at about 2-ish hours. The rating gives you up to 6.5 hours, though if you consider the power behind this thing, the small footprint that they have given it, it's not much bigger than the OG Switch. It is even less bigger than the Switch OLED. So yeah, but that still increases the power draw. The better GPU increases the power draw. So yeah, we're looking at realistically probably about 2 to 3 hours of battery life with this, which kind of sucks, but I mean, it's a more powerful system, so it makes sense. And then game prices. Like I said, we have reports that are going to be upwards of $80, 8000 in USD. Some apparent reports are showing $90. I haven't personally seen those, but that is being reported. Yeah, so it's kind of on trend in a lot of ways, and breaking trends wherever it can while also still trying to stay within certain aspects. But that is a lot of information. Nintendo Switch 2 is a significant step forward. That is a good majority of that's a good majority of the gaming section. That is all of the trailers that we have to talk about. Go watch the Nintendo Directs. There is other newness. But this week's, no, that's right, that's everything. That was everything for the section, basically. So we have a suggestion this week, though. The suggestion this week is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Seriously, if you somehow missed this freaking masterpiece on the original Switch, now is the perfect time as we're gearing up for Switch 2. The Tears of the Kingdom takes everything amazing about Breath of the Wild and dials it up to 11. Like, legitimately, the art and everything is just so much better. New abilities, the hand to build things, wow. Particularly the Ultra Hand for building basically anything you can imagine, and Recall for manipulating time. Completely revolutionize how you interact with the world and solve puzzles. It encourages creativity in ways few games ever really have. So this game, again, if you're like me, that's really the reason I put this here as a suggestion this week. Is I am about halfway through, and then other things came out that kind of took my attention away from Tears of the Kingdom. So I still have 2 more temples to finish before I finish the game, before I go down and fight Ganondorf. Super excited to try and do that before the Switch 2 comes out. So that is your suggestion for the week.
Oh, hey nerds! So, just here to remind you this week that subscribing is great. You should do that. It really doesn't cost you much, and it helps us make this show happen. It also keeps me fed, so that's a good thing too, right? You don't want a dragon to get hungry. So hit the subscribe button. Tell all your friends. We've gotten a lot of comments recently talking about how, people think we do a good job here. So let your friends know if that's the case, and it really helps us out even more that way. So, yeah, there you go. Either way, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for feeding me. Let's get back to nerdy things. Okay, bye.
Comic books and books this week. I told you there was going to be a little bit of controversy because we're going to be getting into those Venom rumors and what exactly has transpired there. A very interesting fan reaction, it would seem. Also, Lex Luthor, Superman situation. They're both just kind of trying to do the same stuff, just with different, I don't know. Let's see what's going on in the panels. Let's talk about this. Okay, so we are going to start by circling back to things we've talked about previously. We do have a couple follow-ups and corrections. First up is Spider-Man, the Venom thing and the Mary Jane, I think, was the more specific tease that we were getting. We were getting all of these teases with Mary Jane, and something big was about to happen. Well, that something big has been revealed, and Mary Jane is Venom. So yeah, I'm just gonna read the script because opinion is just going to hold us up. So it's official, Mary Jane Watson is indeed the all-new Venom. A storyline penned by Al Ewing with art from Carlos Gomez, fully kicked off. However, it seems like fan reception has not been all that great. That is to say the least. Early reactions online seem to be pretty critical of the new direction. We'll see if the story can redeem the readers or if they're just kind of shock for the sake of shock. We'll be keeping tabs. Let's move on. That is the only follow-up that we had this week. So now it's time to get into the regular-ass news. First up is we have the other big thing in the other big shocker this week in comics. This one, DC is doing weird things like really weird. As if having 2 Lex Luthors wasn't going to be weird enough, because that's the kind of end result of the current Superman arc right now, is 2 Lex Luthors. But not just that, one of those 2 Lex Luthors has Superman's powers and none of the reservations of OG Lex Luthor. This is a cloned Luthor with the powers of a Kryptonian. Yep, they did that. So yeah. Is it just shenanigans for the sake of shenanigans? This is how I'm going to pass this off to you guys. Is this just shenanigans? Like, is this just them like, our readership's down, we got to do something crazy? I just pulled this out of my butt. What does it do? Or is there a legitimate motivation? I haven't read Superman for a number of years at this point, just because there hasn't been anything exceptional. So what do you guys think? If you're currently reading the arc, I'm super intrigued by your opinion on what's coming up. But let's move into nicer news about comic books. We have Mark Millar has announced a new Nemesis comic book. That's right. Nemesis, where'd the title go? Nemesis Forever is the name of it. Wow, shouldn't have been so hard to remember. So Mark Millar has announced Nemesis Forever #1, illustrated by Matteo Scalera, is launching August of 2025, long-awaited sequel to Millar's original incredibly violent Nemesis series. So if you don't know what Nemesis is, like there's a whole big long story about it, but the basis here is Mark Millar wanted to see what it would be like if Superman was an asshole. And then DC was like, yeah, you can't really do that. So then he decided, all right, well, I'm going to take it a step further and do it over at Image. So he went, all right, so let's say, what if Superman was the ultimate villain, or not Superman, Batman, I apologize. Batman, what if Batman was the ultimate villain? What if Batman was more Joker than Bruce? And yeah, I mean, I guess Joker's not the best comparison because it's not quite the same kind of level of antics, but it is that level of seriousness. It is definitely Batman levels of like the exact opposite. Instead of fighting crime, he's creating crime and killing people and doing crazy things, and that is Nemesis. So yeah. It is going to be an incredibly exciting ride, and we will be keeping tabs as we can. I don't know, comic books are hard for me. Speaking of Nemesis, it brings us perfectly to this week's recommendation. As for the suggestion, especially with Nemesis Forever on the horizon, you absolutely need to read Nemesis Reloaded, the 5-issue limited series written by Mark Millar, stunning art by Jorge Jimenez, who is absolutely one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. It serves as both a continuation and a bit of a reboot for the Nemesis concept within the broader Millar world. It connects threads from the original Nemesis and even Wanted. A story follows a new version of the masked menace, Matt Anderson, as he essentially gets recruited into the fraternity of super criminals by Wesley Gibson himself. It's slick, violent, darkly funny, and Jimenez's artwork is legitimately phenomenal. It perfectly sets the stage for whatever ultraviolence Millar has planned in Nemesis Forever, so that is why it is your suggestion for the week. Like I said at the beginning of the season, this is going to be a big merch push season. We are jumping in to doing the merch. I have the first specialty piece lined up. It's probably going to drop next month though, so we're looking at April for our first specialty piece. So jump in now, get yourself some basic nerd shirts, just the real basic design. Let the world know that you are a nerd and you love the things that we talk about on this show. In the broad strokes, at the very least, there's the music nerd, there's the movie nerd, there's the gaming nerd and the tech nerd and all of the different kinds of nerds that we embrace here at Generally Nerdy, and then all of the other ones. If you feel like your category has been missed, please by all means let me know and I will make a shirt based on that information, assuming I agree with said information. But either way, merch push, go check out the merch store. We got some pretty awesome stuff and I'm actually quite proud of these designs because I did them all by hand. So thank you very much, nerds. Go check out the merch store. Don't forget to, pick something up while you're there. Helps the channel a lot. As soon as we can start regularly getting merch out, I can start cutting back hours at the day job. That's how this works. I can focus more on entertaining and informing you guys. So thank you very much, nerds. Let's get back to the video. So TV streaming. a little bit of a backseat, but honestly not much. We are going to be getting into first look at Rick and Morty Season 8. Bit of a perplexing teaser situation for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and we're going to be digging into that ongoing conversation around Doctor Who in its modern iteration. And yeah, we're talking about some numbers and things, and let's get swifty, I guess. Okay, TV. We're jumping straight into trailers. So this week's trailers for the TV shows is Adult Swim's Rick and Morty Season 8 teaser. A link below as always. It doesn't give away too much as is tradition, but it confirms the show's return May 25th. Get ready for more dimension hopping, chaos and existential dread and all of the things that we get from Rick and Morty. And yeah, really nothing nothing that you wouldn't already expect from Rick and Morty, I guess, in the trailer, but still go watch the trailer because it's funny. Next up, we have Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We have a third season coming for these guys. Teaser coming out. It just came out. It feels very much, in this trailer, feels very much like an anthology season. Like each episode is going to be much more standalone than we got previously. Kind of a throwback to Next Generation and OG Star Trek, because basically you can watch those shows. I mean, there are exceptions, obviously, more so in TNG than OG, but you can basically watch any one episode and it's self-contained. The story starts and ends inside the one episode. Again, with exceptions, but by and large. So that's kind of what this feels like, but it's almost taking that up to another level. Again, based solely off of this trailer. So go watch the trailer and tell me if you think I'm wrong, but that's kind of what I'm getting from this, which again kind of goes with a bit of a theme that we've established for this episode, in that established IP, the people in charge of writing new stories for established IP are kind of going for shock and awe as a means to drum up interest in their IP. Because Strange New Worlds, while it is one of the better modern Trek things that has come out, widely accepted by fans, though there are still many people who dislike Strange New Worlds, it seems to be getting less dislike than most anything Star Trek related in the last decade or so. Even more, probably. So, I don't know, I'm intrigued by the trailer. I don't know if that means I'm going to watch every episode as it airs, but I might catch up through season 2, because I watched season 1. Might catch up through season 2 and see what's going on. But go watch the trailer yourself and, you know, tell me I'm wrong. Whatever. Let's get into, that was all of the trailers. Let's get into other noteworthy things going on in TV section as far as regular ass news is concerned. Good news for fans of Shane Gillis's comedy on Netflix, Tires. It's sure getting another season. So renewed for a second season. The premiere is June 5th, because why not? It is pretty impressive, honestly, that Shane Gillis has taken his career from SNL reject to doing something that far better series on Netflix could not do. Specifically, I'm looking at you, Archive 81, because you should have at least got one more season just so we could get a little catharsis from an actual ending from that story and not leave us right in the middle of the nonsense. Anyway, but that's it. Yeah, so that's that. And then the other thing in regular ass news for TV this week is Doctor Who. Oh boy, I'm gonna see how much of this script we can get through before I just start going off the rails. So let's talk Doctor Who. New companion, words. First day with the new tongue. New companion, Belinda Chandra, played by Varada Sethu, I don't know, I apologize for mispronouncing her name, has already started making waves before her season even fully airs, facing some of the predictable online accusations of the show being excessively woke. Sethu is apparently really leaning into it, saying she'll wear the label as a badge of honor and basically daring people to be upset about it. Nakuti Gatwa, that's right, is of course returning as the Doctor for this next season. There is something to be noted here. So the peak viewership of the previous season for Doctor Who was somewhere around 4.9 million viewers. So let's take a look at that. The height of this was in the 70s. There was one episode that got 16.1 million viewers. But just saying that that's the peak is not really the best comparison, right? Because that was so long ago. That was over 40, pushing 50 years. That was 50 years ago. I think it was 76, so almost 50 freaking years ago. So again, that's not an apples to apples comparison until you start to look at the seasons themselves. The average viewership for each season up until recently, up until the Jodie Whittaker season, I believe, and I could be wrong, but as far as the numbers that I've been able to find, we're looking at around 10 to 13 million viewers per season, and the last season got just under 5. So that's half of the viewership gone. Because it's not, there's a lot of people who are just jumping straight into the blaming Ncuti Gatwa because he's black or because he's gay or whatever, or the new companion actress, what is it, Varada Sethu, again, for those same reasons. But long-term fans, the people who have been watching this, who are in their 60s at this point because they've been watching it that long, or even people who are more elder millennials like myself who have been watching it since they were small kids on PBS. Yes, that's right, I did watch it on PBS. Not that I've watched anything recently, but still. It's to those fans, to the people who've been in this game for a long time, don't care about those things. What they care about is the stories have become preachy. The stories are preaching to the fans, well, this is what you should feel about the world at large. Instead of it being about science fiction and going off to crazy worlds and doing crazy things and the TARDIS being bigger on the inside than it is on the outside and all of these fantastical things that they've dreamt up over the years previously. Now you get episodes about Rosa Parks and about how white people are so racist everywhere, and it's a tonal shift that nobody asked for except for people who don't actually watch the show. And that is being evidenced by the fact that their main fan base has stopped watching the show by and large. We're down to, if you're looking at peak, we're down to a quarter of their viewership. A quarter of their viewership. There's something to be said about that. So, continuing on, that is everything that we have for regular ass news. So let's talk about suggestion for this week. This week's suggestion, I kind of mentioned it when we were talking about Shane Gillis, Archive 81, slow burn. If you missed this on Netflix, you can still watch it on Netflix if you still have Netflix. Or, you know, you found other ways, Captain Jack. But Archive 81 is really quality horror. It's not the best horror you're gonna find on Netflix. Go see the House on Haunted Hill for that. That's the best horror you're gonna find anywhere. But still, this is still solid horror. And they don't completely blow it in the end. Like, they set up something, you get to the thing they set up, and then they leave you wanting more, and then the series got canceled after the first season. So you don't get more. So it's a little disappointing, but still, like, it's even so, like, I feel like there's almost a closure, but either way, the slow burn is worth it, the atmosphere is worth it, the acting is worth it. This is just a really damn good show. Go check out Archive 81 on Netflix if you're looking for some quality horror and you're all House on Haunted Hill out. All right, nerds, let's take a real quick second to thank channel partners Dubby. They have partnered with the channel. They have a 10% discount if you follow the link down in the description and you use code GenerallyNerdy at checkout. Then you get 10% off of your entire order. I get a little kickback, and you get some fantastic energy drink mix in the process. I do not use sponsors that I do not believe in, and I legit dig Dubby. It is super. I mean, obviously, you hear the rattle. This is empty. I need to get more. I need to get my fix, man. It's one of the best energy drinks that I've ever legitimately partaken in. I do consider myself something of a connoisseur in energy drinks, and this one legitimately is an even. The caffeine, the energy, if you will, is pretty even. There's not a really hard crash. I mean, anything that deals with caffeine, you're going to crash. There's no way around that. But Dubby has extra bits inside of their concoction that make it less of an issue. So yeah, I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that W is the better option versus some of the other powdered energy drink mixes. We're not going to go into details as to which ones those are. I just think that you should go try W. Check it out at w.gg, and then the code rather is generally nerdy at checkout, and that way you get your 10% and you help out the channel just a little bit more. And now let's get back to the video. All right, so movie news, the news fix for the week. We have a ton of stuff coming in out of CinemaCon, a ton of stuff. Most of the stuff is related, not the least of which being some hard dates for those Spider-Man movies, plus some John Wick universe expansion situations. And we're gonna talk about that Avengers reveal because, oh boy, there's a lot of stuff missing from that, honestly. And some updates to it already. So yeah, we're gonna do all of that. So let's just, roll the footage and get into it. Okay, so like I said, CinemaCon is dropping tons of information in our laps as far as movie news is concerned this week. So let's talk about that in follow-ups and corrections is going to be where a lot of this stuff comes from. So first up, we have Spider-Man movie logos. Or Spider-Man movies, I guess is more appropriate. Finally have official titles and dates for the next couple Spider-Man movies. The live action one with Tom Holland is going to be Spider-Man Brand New Day. It is going to be hitting theaters July 31st of next year, 2026. And then the highly anticipated conclusion to the animated franchise, or animated series anyway, is Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. We know that one wasn't really news, but we have a release date of June 4th of 2027. Crap, it's 2 years out. That sucks. So mark your calendars because these are both going to be box office breaking movies. I almost guarantee it. Next up is the follow-up for the live action Zelda movie. Yeah, so live action Zelda officially staked its claim on March 26th of 2027. Also 2 years out, but being as we have very little information about this movie at this point, kind of makes sense that it's that far out. Wes Ball, who did Maze Runner and The New Planet of the Apes, is going to be directing, we know that now, and also Shigeru Miyamoto and Avi Arad are going to be producers on the project. Continuing on with more follow-ups, we have the MCU Avengers reveal. So we got a whole lot to unpack here. We're not gonna go over the entire list of everybody who was revealed. It took 5.5 freaking hours to reveal 20-something actors, and all of them, save for maybe a small few, were kind of already a given. I think the one that surprised me the most, and I'm gonna forget the actor's name because it's not in the script because I don't have proper notes. I'm just working off of a script this time. I'm trying something new. Give me a break. But the guy who played Nightcrawler, I should know his name. He does a lot of things. He's actually a really great actor. He was Gazoo in the Flintstones movie. He's the MC for Cabaret very frequently on Broadway, and he does phenomenally there. I can't think of his name, and I'm sorry, but I really dig him. But so that one I think was the one that actually kind of surprised me, but literally everybody else on that list was like, yeah, we know. Yeah, we know. No, get to the one that's going to surprise and shock and awe, and it didn't materialize. So whatever the next big team up is, the rumor mill still churns, but basically we have more to talk about with the lack of confirmations. It's more interesting to note who isn't being confirmed as far as this goes. Talking notable absences like the Eternals, anyone on the cast of the Eternals, most of the Guardians of the Galaxy, OGs like Chris Evans in any capacity, let alone Cap, but we'll take Johnny Storm too. Mark Ruffalo's Hulk surprisingly was not listed. Don Cheadle's War Machine, again, kind of surprisingly not listed. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, also surprisingly not listed. Benedict Cumberbatch, though I think Cumberbatch has confirmed he will be back for Secret Wars, not Doomsday, so that kind of makes sense. Paul Bettany's Vision, MIA here. We even have characters who were set up in very recent projects, like the Thunderbolts. not present in this announcement. Why the hell not? She-Hulk, Blade, Deadpool, Wolverine, none of these characters, none of their actors were announced for this. Explicitly locked in the current chatter next Avengers film, though, many will surely appear somewhere between the Doomsday and Secret Wars. Massive list of characters not being actively discussed as imminent team up right now, but the one of them that has changed, again, I think I saw Cumberbatch say he's not going to be in Doomsday, but he is going to be in Secret Wars. So that kind of changes a lot of things, if you consider that. Haley Steinfeld has said that Kate Bishop is going to be in an Avengers movie soon. I'm definitely paraphrasing here, but she did not specifically say she's going to be back for Doomsday. She just said she was going to be back for an Avengers movie, for the Avengers movie, or something along those lines. So very much implying that maybe she's also just coming back for Secret Wars. So kind of an amendment there to the list that they've given us, but really, again, the most interesting stuff is who is not confirmed. Obviously Robert Downey Jr., because he was the first one confirmed for the movie. Yeah, so that's what we got there. Just like, hopefully we get some more really interesting leaks, because I don't think there's anything in the rumor mill even this week that's dealing with that stuff. So let's move on. Next up, we have John Wick. We have 2 John Wick franchise expansions. First up, we have John Wick anime. The prequel series has been confirmed rather. Going to a prequel movie, not series, movie, I misspoke. It's going to be telling the story of how John Wick originally gained his freedom from the High Table. Keanu Reeves is set to return, from what I understand, to voice his character. A couple of the other actors from the franchise are also returning to do voices in the animated movie, so that's pretty cool. Shannon Tyndall is directing and Vanessa Taylor is writing. I don't know who those people are in relation to this. I think they're long-term production types for the John Wick franchise, so that makes sense. But wait, there's more. Also, the Donnie Yen spin-off movie is going to be focusing on Kane, obviously, because that's the character he plays. It is now going to be almost exactly the same as the John Wick prequel anime. It's going to be showing us how Kane got his freedom from the High Table as well. So 2 John Wick expansion movies coming alongside, effectively, the Ballerina series. So a lot of stuff going on there, and people are still eating it up. I am far behind on the John Wick movies, so I don't know, maybe I'll catch up one day. It just doesn't really hold a lot for me, but let's continue on, shall we? Next up, we have an update for the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot. So we were talking about this a while ago, and now we have CinemaCon revealing that legacy stars Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. will in fact be involved. We knew this, but they are going to be more mentor characters than they are going to be stars, like was speculated. Freddie Prinze Jr. came out and said, no, we're not going to be the focus, but a lot of people thought that was a misdirect. Based on the footage that was shown at CinemaCon, it seems that exactly right. They are going to be more mentors to the new cast than they are anything else as far as the focus of the movie goes. Interestingly, it sounds like the original idea of making this reboot movie more in line with the book that is kind of sort of based on has seemingly gone out the window, because we are involving the original cast for the movie that had very little to do with the book, and now we're tying them into this and kind of completely just ignoring the announcement that we're going to be making this more in line with the book. So yeah, super interesting situation. We'll keep tabs. Hopefully they release a trailer soon. We can get our own taste since we're not all at CinemaCon. Next up, let's talk about that Coyote versus Acme situation. There is a great update here. Last time we talked about it, it was still kind of in limbo. People were bidding, trying to win the favor of WB, as it were, so that they could be the ones that released the movie. And now it seems that Ketchup Entertainment, I believe is the name of the company. Yes, Ketchup Entertainment has acquired the distribution rights and plans to release the Looney Tunes movie sometime this year. Next year, rather. Sorry, next year. I could read. Next year. So we win. That's great. However, the release of the Warner Brothers, the Looney Tunes movie, the Looney Tunes Save the World, or whatever the hell it was, like, Obviously, I don't remember the name of this movie because they didn't do enough promotion for it. We talked about it here when they released the trailer. The trailer was funny, but it's out and nobody went and saw it. So it's a whole situation with Warner Brothers. Let's just keep moving on. That is what we have for follow-ups and corrections, though. Let's now talk about trailers because we got a couple of really cool ones. We have Karate Kid Legends is the first one we're talking about. The new trailer for Legends is here. Movie is officially bringing back Jackie Chan as Mr. Han from the 2010 reboot-ish. And then Ralph Macchio's Daniel LaRusso is also going to be a mentor in this movie. The trailer looks like it's going to be... So when I was a kid, there were the Surf Ninjas movies, there were a bunch of movies in that kind of vein. It seems like this movie is going to be this generation's version of that, but in a much better way because Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, like, come on. So May 30th is when it's going to be in theaters, and I would not be surprised if we get cameos from both Jaden Smith. That one I think is a little bit more further out there, and also William Zabka. I think Zabka, I can almost guarantee, I'm going to put this one out there as my own little personal speculation, but I can almost guarantee that Zabka will have some sort of cameo, if not slightly more than a cameo, in this Karate Kid movie. Just because, I mean, yeah, there you go. So, yeah, that's what we got. Wax on, wax off, sweep the... let's continue on. Next up, we have Five Nights at Freddy's 2. We got a teaser for that one as well. Five Nights at Freddy's is surprisingly good for a, I think it was a PG-13 movie. It might have even been PG, honestly. I can't remember, but surprisingly good considering the lack of an R rating for a horror movie. So obviously it did well in theaters. We're getting a trailer. Finally, we've been keeping tabs on it up until this point. Linked, as always, down in the description. December 5th of this year, it will be in theaters. Super stoked for that. More animatronic mayhem for the rest of us. That's what we got for trailers. Let's talk about some other movie headlines across the world, shall we? In the regular ass news. So first up, we have, oh crap, that's right. We have to start on a down note because the Val Kilmer has passed. Oh. So this sucks. But we do the passings in the beginning of the regular ass news section so that we can get to the less depressing things by the end of it. Yeah, Val Kilmer's 65 years old. He had obviously been struggling with throat cancer for a number of years to the point where it started where he couldn't speak normally anymore. There's a fantastic documentary about his life on Prime, I'm pretty sure is where it is, that he made with his son. His son does the voiceover and it's wonderful. It absolutely, like, I watched it and it made me emotional while he was still alive. I can only imagine what would happen if I watched it now. It's fantastic. You should watch it. Go watch your favorite Val Kilmer movie. That is not your suggestion for the week. That's just good advice. Just because he was a national treasure. Val Kilmer, for all of the cheesy things that you can say he did, he always believed in everything he did and made some amazing movies in the meantime. Tombstone, the Top Gun movies, just, I mean, he was freaking Batman, for crying out loud. One of the coolest things about, I mean, like, obviously it's not cool that he's passed, but like, one of the more cool coincidental things around his passing is the final thing he posted on Instagram. He was hanging out with David Cho. David Cho is a world famous artist, hangs out with David Chang. They're buddies, Chang being one of my culinary heroes in the world of food. And they were analyzing like images of justice and what that looks like, and Batman and how that factors in, and just a really cool, like, even up until the end, he was there, man. He was a very special human being, and so we are going to take a moment in remembrance of Val Kilmer. coming out of the sad bits, let's talk about some weird bits. So we got official word from CinemaCon, from James Gunn even at CinemaCon, that we're going to be getting a teaser for Superman. It's going to be 8 minutes of footage. That doesn't say exactly what part of the movie it's coming from, but it's going to be pasted at the front of the Minecraft movie, because that's worked well in the past. So you take a trip back and down memory lane with me, if you will. Back, I can't remember the year at this point in time. It is somewhere in the mid 2000s when the movie, oh, I'm gonna forget the name of the movie, so let me go to the notes real quick. But the Animatrix Dreamcatcher, there we go. Dreamcatcher, the movie there was a horror movie called Dreamcatcher. When it was released into theaters, there was a Matrix short film that was placed in front of it on the reels at I think every movie theater that it was in. So the ticket sales for this movie Dreamcatcher were amazing, because this was the first taste of something of the Matrix since the first movie was released, because they were still gearing up for the second movie and then into the third movie, right? So with the success of the first movie, this was kind of a given that this was going to be amazing. But from all accounts that I have heard and read and so on and so forth, after the Animatrix trailer played, the short is The Final Flight of the Osiris, is the name of the short movie. After that played, before the Dreamcatcher movie started rolling, theaters emptied out. So I suspect we're going to be seeing something similar for the Minecraft movie. There's going to be an artificially high number of ticket sales so that people can go see the first few minutes or a couple of minutes or whatever from the new Superman movie. Though I think it's going to be a little bit different, because that was 2003 or something, and this is 2025. And things are quite different considering the internet these days. So I think either it's going to be artificially inflated, or really nobody's going to go watch it except for with their kids. That's what we got on that one. Let's talk next about Dogma. Kevin Smith has the rights back, kind of, to his movie Dogma. And so we've talked about this already, that he got that. The new piece here is that he's taking it on tour like he does with all of his new movies anymore. So he's taking Dogma on its 20th anniversary tour, I believe, somewhere in the notes. I can't find it, whatever. So I'm just gonna read it. Taking Dogma on the road, he's doing one of his classic roadshow tours with the original film, hitting 16 stops across the country. Kicks off April 20th in Los Angeles, California. Wraps up in New Jersey at his own Smodcast Cinemas sometime thereafter. The tour leads up to the re-release of the movie in 4K. There is a 4K remaster coming out on June 5th. Everything is happening on June freaking 5th. It will be available also in theaters in 4K. There's 1,500 theaters across the country, across US and Canada, are going to be playing this, I presume, for just a couple of days. Also on June 5th. Ticketing info can be found at the website dogmamovie.com. Though someone might want to tell us, Kevin Smith, that white on white for their website is a horrible, horrible idea. We have white text on a white background. You can't read the information unless you highlight it. Just a design complaint, I guess. Change the text color. It's garbage. Anyway, so, next. Next is a super interesting one, because I really thought there was a closer tie between this film festival and the city it was in. So we have word that Sundance Film Festival, which as long as I've known has always been in Park City, Utah, is now changing scenes, is going from Utah to Colorado, and is going to be in Boulder, Colorado for the next iteration. I think that's all, that is the entire, that's the entire news piece there. They're moving from where they've been for since the inception of the film festival, I'm pretty sure. Now they're going to be, that's just weird. Anyway, that's what we have for regular ass news. Let's talk about our suggestion for the week. Suggestion for the week is a movie that has a donkey show. That is Clerks 2. This is my favorite of the Kevin Smith movies. That might be blasphemous because it's not Clerks 1 or I don't know, Chasing Amy. What is the Mallrats? I think is the other one that I should love the most. But I love those movies just fine, all three of them actually. I just think Clerks 2 is a little bit more my speed. Just a little more in line with my tempo, if you will. This is, I think, Kevin Smith at his peak. Everything up until this point was leading to this point, and everything he's done since this movie gets compared to this movie. So yes, 100%. It's all dick and fart jokes, and it's all childish humor for sure. It's all very nerdy humor even. I mean, what other movie do you know can make a 2.5 minute Lord of the Rings joke comparing Lord of the Rings to Star Wars, like, and legitimately make you laugh every time? I don't know any other movie. This movie has it. So, I mean, if you're just looking for a stupid good time, go check out Clerks 2. It is currently streaming for rent on Prime or on Apple TV Plus. So yeah, go do that because it's just going to be a great night. All right, nerds, so let's take a break real quick. New season, new sponsor. Well, not exactly new sponsor. This is technically an old sponsor. Me, I'm sponsoring myself. This season, we're going to be doing a big merch push. Don't forget the W. W's always great, but we have merch. We're going to be doing active merch things, sales and special items and all this stuff. Right now, there are no special items up just yet over at the Spring store. We do have random stuff on the Redbubble store, both of which are linked down below. But if you go check out the Spring store, that's where the Basic Nerd merch line is. So any of your Basic Nerd stuff that you want, basically it's all of the sections that we do the Week in Nerddom in. So there's a gaming nerd, there's a comic book nerd, there's a music nerd, there's a TV nerd, all of the different sections, and then the split sections even. We have a gaming nerd, we have a tech nerd, we have comic book nerd, and a book nerd. That all of these are up in the Basic Nerd line. And then probably roughly once a month throughout the course of this season, we're going to be doing a special shirt in each of those, the section shirts or however we're gonna sell it. I haven't worked out all of the details just yet, but we're getting there, all right? So go check out the Basic Nerd stuff. I super dig it. I think it's just the most simple way to proclaim to the world that you are nerdy in this area, or just generally nerdy, because it says generally nerdy at the back of all of these shirts, except for the zip-up hoodies say it on the chest. So yeah, go check it out. That is, I'm going to have a special, I will have things to show off soon. I need to order the individuals, the samples, and this shirt that I'm wearing right now is not currently up on the store. This is going to come back. It needs to be a little bit reworked because it still has the old logo on it. But yeah, we will be bringing back the Do You Even Pop Culture Bro shirts as a specialty item sometime throughout this season. So stay tuned for that. Go check out the merch, and let's get back to the video.
Maybe. It's classified.
So let's talk those whispers out in the rumor mill this week. We've got the Xbox handheld that basically everybody is talking about at this point. We have some potentially massive character reveals and some crazy cosmic weirdness going on in the Ahsoka series for season 2, and possible casting rumor for who is going to be Batman for James Gunn. Remember, everything in here is to be taken with a massive grain of salt. We'll kind of break down some of the likelihoods of these rumors and do all the things, so let's go. Okay, so we're getting into new rumors. So first off, we have something else going on with the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige. There's an update to this rumor situation. Kind of news, but also heavily steeped in rumor. So some interesting context potentially for that situation. Jennifer Salk, who was a major movie executive at Amazon Studios, was recently fired. Reasons that are not exactly public, though rumors swirl about disappointments like the reception of the James Bond, the reality show that they did, and then the future plans for the franchise, the massive budget versus the reception of the Rings of Power series, losing Christopher Nolan's next project, specifically the astronomical cost and underwhelming performance of the show Citadel, which you'll recall was produced and partially directed by none other than the Russo brothers. That is correct. So they apparently have some sort of part in this. This does not confirm anything that we've talked about. However, it does add fuel to the fire. So yeah, that's, if Kevin Feige wasn't watching them like a hawk before, he really is now. That's what we got on that follow-up or new source on an old rumor. This next new source for an old rumor is kind of almost confirmation that the rumor is actually real at this point, but we have more information about the Xbox handheld from more legitimate sources. At this point, calling it a rumor feels a little quaint, but it seems to be the worst kept secret in tech right now, but chatter is everywhere, and it's going from the point where even ASUS, the company who is supposedly making this Xbox branded handheld gaming console, is now teasing that the device is real, similar to their work on the ROG Ally. Is reportedly being, they're teasing handheld related things. While nothing is official until we hear from Microsoft, I think it's only a matter of time before we hear from Microsoft. So that's what we got there. New sources on old rumors aside, let's talk about some new rumors. Our first new rumor, again, take all of these with a grain of salt, but our first new rumor is a little bit spicy. Star Trek Strange New Worlds rumors circulating that the upcoming season underwent potentially significant reshoots. The claim, and again, claim, is that the upcoming season, or the reshoots rather, were allegedly done in response to the anti-DEI measures that Trump has been rolling out. So purportedly enacted or influenced by the Trump administration. The rumor goes even further, suggesting that the entire pending Paramount Skydance merger is also somehow tied to the political climate surrounding the administration. And if said merger falls through, we've talked about the fact that they're trying to merge these two companies previously. If this falls through, Skydance is considering legal action against the Trump administration. This is super duper speculative, but let's see what we can do about putting a percentage on this. This is a difficult one to like gauge the likelihood of, because there's a lot here, and it's kind of, if it goes a certain way, we'll never know that it was not potentially going to go that way. So it's difficult. So actually, let's break this into two different sections. We're gonna say the reshoots is one. I will put money on the fact that that is the legit. So we're gonna say 75% for the reshoots having been done as a response to it. And the reason why they would have done this is because the censorship board is a government run agency that censors things that go out as far as TV and stuff goes. So that is very closely tied to whatever administration is currently in charge of the country. Right now, that's Trump, and that is anti-DEI has been kind of the word of the day, right? So 75% likely that that happened. However, I cannot in good conscience say that the merger issue is really anything other than right up the middle. Like that really could go either way. I don't honestly know how much the administration has effect on that part of things. I think that's more the courts and such. So while influenced by the administration, I don't think the administration has any say over that directly. So if they do attempt some sort of legal action, I don't think it'll be successful. But I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, so let's move on. Next, we have Blade back in the rumor. The latest rumor is that Chad Stahelski is going to be the new director. Chad Stahelski, you'll remember, also did the couple of movies on the John Wick franchise. Given Blade's potential for its intense action and Stahelski's proven track record with like action, it sounds very potentially awesome, but it is still just rumor until we get confirmation from Marvel, which I doubt we'll get anytime soon. So this one, I think we're going fairly high with this one too. I think about 70%, just because the pedigree involved with all the people here and considering where the source comes from. I think this one was from Deadline, which is one of the trades. Once it's in the trades, it might as well be fact at that point. Next up on the rumor mill, we have Once Upon a Time in Mexico getting a sequel. This is legit, even though I'm pretty sure the news broke on April Fool's. I have not been able to find anything saying that this is an April Fool's joke. So if you know otherwise, please correct me. Otherwise, we're just going with this. So we have Oh, a very wild situation here. A sequel, or kind of sort of not sequel. It is a quote inspired sequel to Robert Rodriguez's Once Upon a Time in Mexico. That's not Robert Rodriguez, the Quentin Tarantino. Sorry, I can write and I remember names, but is very potentially in the works at Netflix. The rumor suggests that Brad Pitt is going to return and that his character from the first movie is going to be the focus of this new sequel. It is going to be David Fincher directing, which adds up a number of reasons why this adds up, because David Fincher has an exclusive contract right now. I don't know if it's exclusive, but the first rights or whatever with Netflix. So if he gets a project, Netflix gets the first option to produce said project. And why would they not do something with Brad Pitt and potentially Leonardo DiCaprio? But continuing on, supposedly also Fincher was brought in, this is all according to the rumor, Fincher was brought in at the suggestion of Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt talking to Quentin Tarantino, who wrote the new script supposedly, it was looking to shop it around because he didn't want this to be his 10th movie. And so Pitt suggested Fincher. Fincher has the contract with Netflix. So again, kind of pieces like coming together, right? So continuing on, another layer here is Leonardo DiCaprio's involvement is still being negotiated according to the rumor. Fincher directing Pitt and DiCaprio in a spiritual successor to a Quentin Tarantino flick is nuts. So let's talk about likelihood. There is a very big piece of my soul right now that is going, this is an April Fool's joke. But again, haven't been able to confirm that. So as much as like all of those pieces lining up seems super great, it also feels entirely too coincidental. Like somebody scripted something like this to happen. So I just can't go over 50% on this one. I really cannot give this anything more than 50%. Our next rumor, is kind of a lot. We're gonna talk about some Star Wars, baby. We're gonna do the fun ones first. Those fun ones being the Ahsoka series. So let's get into this. We have some crazy rumors going here that all come from a source who reportedly has not really been around recently, but in eras previous, as far as modern Star Wars is concerned, has given some really accurate information. So we're going to consider that as we go into the likelihoods of these rumors. So we have bullet points here. Let's talk about them. First up, the season 2 of Ahsoka will apparently lean heavily into cosmic force elements. If you know the extended universe, you might know where I'm going with this. Powerful Identity Abeloth is rumored to be making a return, kind of, as a major antagonist in Season 2, possibly connected to Balon Skoll's quest. Remember where we left Balon last. He's going off on his own to do this thing. Hayden Christensen is reportedly going to be some sort of regular, probably in flashbacks, because we do know that the young Ahsoka actress is coming back, as well as, well, we're going to get into this, that's also, there's other rumors here, but we do know that the young Ahsoka actress is coming back for sure. That's legit. Hayden Christensen returning probably as a Force ghost for modern scenes, and then again, we got some flashback action. Ewan McGregor is reported to appear as Obi-Wan in this, in flashbacks alongside the young Ahsoka actress. We already talked about that. Liam Neeson. This one is the one that's kind of getting me a little bit with this rumor. Liam Neeson is expected to reprise his role as Qui-Gon as a Force ghost, though the fact that it is fairly vague with like frequency or if it's just going to be some sort of cameo is playing in its favor. We have Tamura Morrison is said to be returning possibly as Captain Rex, though there is some speculation that it is going to be as Boba Fett, which could be great, though Captain Rex kind of lines up a little bit better than Boba Fett does, so that seems the most likely. We also have flashbacks to the realm of Mortis, rumored, with fan favorite voice actor Sam Witwer is going to be playing the son, if you'll remember, from the Clone Wars, alongside newly cast actors for the father and the daughter. Getting deep cuts here, man. Deep cuts. And then finally, also considering Ahsoka, we have elements involving Grand Admiral Thrawn. There are expected, first day, new tongue, again, I'm sorry, are expected to bleed over into the main galaxy timeline, with one specific rumor mentioning a scene featuring Princess Leia and Mon Mothma discussing the threat he poses. So we're going to be getting digital versions of Leia, Luke, and Han Solo. Again, according to the rumor. So, rumors around, because these all come from the same source, we're going to rather, I guess we could give each bullet point its own likelihood, but then we'd be here all day. So, let's talk about the rumors as a whole, because they all come from the same source. This one feels very likely in a lot of ways. The one thing that's keeping me from going any higher than we're gonna go is Liam freaking Neeson has sworn that he's not gonna, I mean, obviously we got a little bit of a cameo from him in the Obi-Wan series, I'm pretty sure is where we saw him as a Force Ghost. So maybe Disney can print enough money for him to reprise that. I don't know, but it's entirely possible. I just feel like that's the biggest thing here that's saying, oh, this feels like maybe some of this stuff is grasping at straws a bit. So we're going to say 60% that these Ahsoka rumors are accurate. From there, staying with Star Wars, we now have the Darth Maul situation. There is going to be a animated Darth Maul series following his journeys in the Clone Wars and Rebels. This series would presumably delve even deeper into the Darth Maul story, presumably connecting those two series with the modern franchise. So like where we saw him in the Solo movie. But naturally, the rumor includes the expectation that Sam Witwer would return as the iconic character that he has voiced for so long. So this one I think is kind of a no-brainer. I'm gonna put this one at 80%, just because like is a fan favorite character. Witwer has said he would do it in interviews previously, so like all of the things are just there to do it. Why not? Hopefully they do something good with it, but it's still a rumor, so let's continue. Next up, we have, again, staying with Star Wars, Mandalorian and Grogu. This is where it starts to go poopy. So, Mandalorian and Grogu, according to this same source, again, continuing on with the same source, rumors suggest that this film is going to basically function as a self-contained side mission from the series that we got, that we all loved until season 3 hit. So major linchpin is the overarching Filoniverse narrative. The main characters are reportedly going to be just Din Djarin, Grogu, and Rhoda the Hutt. We already knew they cast Rhoda the Hutt. Jeremy Allen White's going to be doing the voice for Rhoda. But apparently that is going to be it. Rhoda is the villain, and nobody really believes in this project behind the scenes. That's the big rumor here, is that they're expecting it to do poorly, and they're kind of setting it up to do poorly. So I don't want that to be true, but all of the stuff coming out of Disney right now, especially Disney Lucasfilm, is not great. I can't, we're gonna say 50% likely here. This also plays into the idea that Jon Favreau is very likely leaving Star Wars once the Filoniverse, Mandoverse stuff is complete. So there is, I think, one more project in their hands after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and then again, supposedly Favreau rather is out of there. He's gone. So I think that might be true, but the rest of it feels like very much grasping at straws. So let's leave Star Wars now. Let's go over to DC for our final rumor of the episode, and we now are hearing a tale of who they might be casting as Bruce Wayne Batman over at DC for James Gunn's movie. So Brandon Sklenar, I believe is how you say that last name, is reportedly the one they are looking at for Batman. I have even heard reports that they are actively negotiating with young Mr. Sklenar. You'll recognize him, assuming you watched the Yellowstone prequel series 1923. He also was in that Blake Lively movie that's getting all the buzz, but the negative attention, I guess, is more appropriate, but I didn't watch that, so I have no frame of reference for that. Yeah, this is a slew of sources, but not any one of those sources is great. So I'm gonna put this one even a little bit lower, even though like I would be okay with this kid being Batman. I think it would be an interesting Batman, but we're gonna say about 40%. Like it's possible, but I don't think it's super likely. We'll say that. But that is what we've got for the new rumors section. We have no real speculation that we haven't already touched on throughout the other sections of the episode. So then that brings us into housekeeping. Obviously this episode is late again, but I told you this episode was going to be late last week rather. 2 weeks ago I even said that. It is a little bit later than anticipated, but again, kind of out of my hands. You know, family things happen and job things happen and people have mental breakdowns and can't show up to work, so then I have to work a little harder and so on and so forth. So that is kind of a little bit of the behind the scenes. Last week's That Just Happened also got caught up in all that stuff. So I don't think we're going to be doing an episode this week. I haven't really had a whole lot of time to digest new art and new content anyway, so there's not a whole lot that would drive the conversation for an episode this week. So I'll just take the 1 or 2 bullet points I have and we'll include that in next week's episode of That Just Happened, because I think legitimately, there's like 2 music videos and then the most recent episode of The White Lotus, because I haven't even watched Righteous Gemstones. I don't think I'm going to watch Righteous Gemstones, not gonna lie. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at behind the scenes. There are some concert things happening in the weeks to come, going to see Portishead and so on and so forth. So I think that is actually 2 weeks out. So expect another possible delay. We might just do a Nerdy Suggest episode, though that might come a few more weeks out. I really got to play with scheduling things. So that is what is going on behind the scenes, nerd. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. If you know, let me know if I forgot something, if there's something you want me to dig a little bit deeper into, because I will do that for your nerdy little faces. I appreciate you that much that I let you dictate where the show goes when you make those suggestions. So do that, leave the comments, do the subscription thing. Always do the thumbs up. Thumbs down works too, but I prefer the thumbs up because it's a little bit nicer. That you can do that on every video. You can only subscribe once. I know I say it in like every break for the subscription reminder, but it's legitimately true, and I appreciate every one of you who does that. So, and I appreciate every one of you who watches the show, even if it's only for like 30 seconds. I thank you. We'll see you in the next one though, nerds. Before we go, always remember that if it's genuinely nerdy, it's probably here.